So now that you've added the buffer to chamber B and have topped it off to the 50 ml mark, the next step is to set up the apparatus on the top shelf above your lab bench. Clamp chamber A such that chamber B is sitting on top of the stirring plate. Once you've done that, using a level, make sure that the apparatus is perfectly level. By that I mean that the bubble needs to be right in the center. In the event that it is not level, adjust the apparatus until the bubble comes to the center. Once the apparatus is level, you then take the higher concentration of acetate buffer and pour it into chamber A. And after that, you want to add the stir bar to chamber B.
Once your gradient apparatus is set up, it's now time to finish setting up your column. To do this, unplug the column to allow the rest of the buffer that remained to go through the column. Once this is done, you'll see that there remains no buffer and it's just the resin that is left. The next step is to make sure you don't let this dry out. So you now want to add your protein to the column. If this did dry out, you would have to reset up your column all the way from the beginning. So we don't want that to happen. So now let's add our sample to this column. To add the sample, use a pasture pipette. Once you have your sample in the pasture pipette, add your sample to the column along the sides. You don't want to directly add it to your column. You just want to add it along the sides. Once you've done this, it'll take a few minutes for your sample to settle into the column. Once you've seen that your sample is settled inside the resin of the column, you want to add your buffer. To add your buffer, again, using a pasture pipette, add the buffer to the side of the column, like so.
The next step is to unclamp the hose at the top so that you get a steady stream of buffer at the bottom into a beaker. As soon as you get that steady stream, you want to pinch the hose and then move the clamp all the way down to the bottom and clamp at the bottom. Once you've done that, remember to top off the buffer in chamber B. Again, up to the 50 ml mark. And now your gradient apparatus is set up and ready to go. The next step is to run the gradient and collect samples. To do this, you first want to turn on the stirring to about 1 or 2 and then open the stock flow to allow the buffers to come through. Next, you want to unclamp the hose to allow a little bit of the buffer to come through. Do this slowly so that you can control the speed of the flow. Make sure there are no air bubbles, and then insert the plug into the column. You then want to open the bottom and collect your 1 ml samples. Remember guys, safety first. Don't forget your goggles, lab coat, gloves, proper footwear. Common sense might be a good asset too. Before coming into lab, make sure you read your lab. And when in doubt, always, always, always consult your TA. See you next time.